traffic management in the polling place. This video will help election judges with line and crowd management. There are several guidelines that will help judges efficiently and accurately direct voters through the voting process. Feel free to tailor these tips to the specific needs of your polling place. The greeter judge. In busy election years, properly managing voter traffic through the polling place is essential to ensuring a successful election day. Head judges shall assign one judge to act as the greeter judge. The role of the greeter judge can be filled by any of the election judges. Assign a judge who is energetic, personable, and knowledgeable about the voting process. This judge will manage voters entering the polling place by determining if voters are at the correct precinct, if they are registered or non-registered, directing them to the correct line, and checking for proper documentation if the voter is registering. The greeter judge has several tools to accomplish these tasks. A greeter's list, which lists every registered voter in the precinct, is provided to each polling place. The greeter judge can use this list to look up voters who enter the precinct to determine if the voter should go to the roster or non-registered table. The greeter judge will also have a precinct finder to determine if voters not on the greeter's list are in the correct precinct. It is important to verify that each non-registered voter is in the correct precinct before the voter proceeds to the non-registered table. Finally, the judge will have the laminated list of acceptable registration documents and the pad of tear-off sheets to provide to voters when needed. The judge should confirm with all voters needing to register that they have acceptable documentation before they proceed to the non-registered table. In addition, voters who are in the wrong precinct should be given a tear-off sheet of acceptable registration documentation so they can obtain the necessary documents before going to their correct location. The most common place for lines to develop in the polling room is at the non-registered table. If lines form here, the greeter judge can help voters prepare for the registration process by providing them with clipboards and voter registration applications to complete while they wait in line. Polling place setup to accommodate voter traffic. The proper setup of the polling room is the first step in moving voters through the voting process efficiently. Judges should consult the polling place contact sheet in the purple folder and the sample layout in the green folder to ensure that the polling place setup is optimized for voter traffic. When setting up tables, ensure there's enough room for lines to form in front of the roster and non-registered tables, so the lines do not interfere with voters marking or casting their ballots. Also make sure that voters have easy access into and out of the polling room. Additional tips for managing lines. Determine the number of divisions needed in the registered roster and the number of roster judges needed, so voters are not waiting more than 10 to 15 minutes at your busiest times. Be sure lines are not forming near stairways and doorways, clogging narrow hallways, or blocking emergency exits. Also remember that other events may be occurring at the polling locations, schools, apartment buildings, or libraries, and that lines and voter traffic should avoid conflicting with these other activities. Be sure there are enough tables, chairs, and clipboards so voters do not have to wait for a voting booth to mark their ballot. Let voters know they can vote their ballot anywhere in the voting area. They do not need to wait for an open voting booth or clipboard, but have the right to do so if they wish. Ensure voters are in the correct line and talk with voters about what they will need when they get to the front of the line. If you have additional tips or methods for managing lines at your polling place, please let the elections office know.